Brian Johnson, your potential is not a fixed point. It's a horizon that expands with every courageous step. Brian Johnson.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren and Jessica Salquist coming at you from Next Level.
Good vibes only.
What's up? Today we're going to be sharing an opportunity that you guys can have at your own business or your facility.
Or personally, or a small group of friends or a community, whatever you'd like.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about the Heroic Workshop.
We are. And so we're going to give you some really cool goals, expected outcomes, things that you will get little pieces of this workshop now so that you can make a decision if you would like to take on this opportunity and have us come and do a workshop for you.
Yeah, this workshop is really fun. It's 3 hours. It would be taking us to go through all these things, and you're going to learn some different tools that we're going to share with you as we go through this. And it's just an opportunity to kind of help take yourself to that next level that we always talk about.
That's right. So part of it is, as you can see, if you're watching today, if you're listening, we'll describe it. We have the book Arate sitting out here. And so that's a huge part of what we're talking about. And what is Arate?
Arate.
Excellence, right?
Oh, what is the definition?
Yeah,
of
sorry. It's a book. Darren's like, it's a book. Thank you. The ancient Greek meaning is it's excellence, living up to your full potential, as Darren said. So this is a workshop that helps you create the ability to live to your full potential. And who doesn't want to be excellent?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal of life, right? Every day we get to show up being that 1% better every day. It's not about being perfect. There are no perfect human beings. But there's every day is the opportunity for us to show up better.
Yeah.
And that's what life's all about. That's knowing the ultimate game, right? As we go into objective 1.
That's right.
Is to know the ultimate game and how to play it well.
And how to play it well. And I think I've mentioned this in another podcast, but I really had an adverse reaction to playing the game. And I was like, life's not a game. And the more that I learned, the more that I dug into this and really went deep, I was like, oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well, again,
I need to know how to play it. I mean, that's the thing. It's not supposed to be in a negative fashion. It's basically, if you want to live up to your full potential, you're going to get dirty, you're going to be uncomfortable, and part of
hard work.
And it's hard work. And so you do need to know how to play the game. It's not saying life is a game, like it's it's not important. It's just saying, hey, it is what it is, and you need to know how to play it if you want to be successful and have your full potential met.
And it's in the sense of any game. I mean, I'm sure everybody out there that is listening loves to play one game or another. And what do we need to know about the game? We need to know the rules. We need to know what are the steps, right?
How to play
to be able to show up as our best, to be able to play this game and give ourselves the best opportunity to win. You're not guaranteed to win just because you know the rules. Mm-hmm. But what you are is going to give you a better chance on how to show up and possibly win that game.
And when you play a game, whether it be a board game or a athletic game or any kind of game, you are either, like you said, you're reading instructions, or you have a guide, or you have a coach. Yeah. And so to play that game, why not reach out to people that actually have been practicing the game and that have been really working on living up to their full potential and have the tools in their life that they can actually share with you, and you can collaborate and you can connect and you can communicate and you can just grow. Like the point is like, hey, how do we get you to grow? How do we get you to have clarity on your most important goals? Mm-hmm. That's one of them. That's part of this workshop. And the other part is process to achieve those goals. We want to give you a tool, a process to achieve the goals. Greater confidence, because that's huge. That's so huge that I can't even explain it in this podcast.
Confidence. And what is confidence? Remember what confidence is? The Latin root word of confidence?
Confidere.
Is trust. Intense trust.
Intense trust in self.
And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about is to have that intense trust in self to be able to show up as that best version of yourself.
That's right.
And this is where Brian Johnson, the founder and CEO of Heroic, his son, Emerson, I think, what is he, 12 years of age. Again, I like to think of age as levels. And his goal, something that he's working on is he wants to be a chess grandmaster.
Yeah, he's so young.
And the way he's doing that is he gets to play the game. He's practicing every single day. He has these different tools that he has. They have a coach as well. And that's how we get better. And this is where and again, it's not coming that, again, Jessica and I have all the answers. We're never going to have all the answers of this game that we're playing, but we have a lot of the tools. And this is where we can help guide you and guide others along this journey to help the best version of you show up. And this is where I think it gets confusing, to where this game of life where everybody thinks they have it figured out. And it's not just showing up to life. It's actually, what are you doing? What are you studying? How I always like to go back to, like, what's your role that you're playing right now? And that role is that job. What are you doing in your work, right? And so whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, whether you're a teacher, no matter what that role is, driving a vehicle around using, Uber or Lyft, there's still certain things that you need to know to be that best driver, to be the best in your profession. And so that you went in there with understanding and learning the rules and understanding how to play the game. Why is life any different? I don't think this is something we just show up to.
No.
And this is one thing that we've been doing at CoreFit, where we've been doing a number of workshops, going around the mindset, facing challenges, but also we have a running coach. Kurt does pose method running. And this is where, think about everybody that runs. Has anybody ever had a coach? You just show up and you start running. My body, I know how to run. Do you? These are the things where you get to learn these tools and work with a coach to be a little bit more efficient on the type of running, so we don't have those injuries. We were built to run, but at the same time, coaching would take you to another level.
And you're really, you're just, as we were talking about, building greater confidence. That's how we get confidence, right? That's how we get confidence, is by practicing, getting support and help. And some of the other things that I think really relate to what you're saying too is the other outcomes, expected outcomes of this workshop, the heroic workshop, is that when you know who you are at your best.
Yeah.
You know who you're at your best, right?
Yeah.
You respond intentionally to life. That's huge. I mean, you just kind of mentioned that you just don't show up. What's your intention? How are you going to respond intentionally to life? The other ones are a collection of prior successes and celebrations, right? We look at those things. Today, we're going to talk about who's your hero. We'll get into that a little bit. And then we talk about how to flourish when you're talking about virtues, which is wisdom, discipline, courage, love, gratitude, hope, curiosity, and zest. And we've done a lot of podcasts about those virtues. And then the other part of it is connection. And these are these expected outcomes of this workshop, that you are going to connect with other people at all different facets of their life, looking for growth, connection, and clarity on their goals. And they want to know how to do it so they can be the best version of themselves.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that's here on this book. If you're looking in the watching this on YouTube, on the back of the book, it has several virtues that they live with. This is called the virtue compass. And one of the ones that we're talking about right now is wisdom. And the wisdom is, I know the ultimate game and how to play it well.
Yeah.
And the thing about wisdom leading with that virtue is knowledge, the knowledge that you have. And where do we get that knowledge? Going in, diving deep in learning from books, learning from heroes, learning from mentors, taking that opportunity. And also, where do we learn from? Life experiences. This is one of the biggest tools that we want to lean on, is things that we have done in our past, good things and things maybe that did not work out so well.
Right.
And those things that did not work out so well, those are opportunities that help us grow and help us go to another level, that if we don't want to keep repeating the same thing, then we need to create change. And so I'm going to kind of maybe bring in Brendan real quick on here. On one of the things, think about what's one thing, Brendan, that when you are doing really well and everything's firing on all cylinders, what's one thing that that you do that if you were not to do that item, that it would kind of mess up your rhythm, your mojo?
The one thing that I do that messes up my mojo?
That if you did not do constantly. Like, there's one thing that you do that helps you feel just in a good place, and if you did not do that would mess up your mojo.
There's so many things, but one thing I haven't. Me and my wife don't get to hang out a lot. Like, she works, I work, whatever. We have kids. We're at sports. From 8 to 9 every night is our time to watch a show together. And if we don't do that, if we don't have some time together, just to watch something and it usually just turns into us talking about stuff that really messes with my, and that's weird because it's the end of the day, but like it kind of like throws off the next day. I love the consistency of like making sure me and my wife have intentional time at night.
Yeah.
And
A connection.
Time. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. So good. That's kind of what we're talking about. Just little things that we can do that when we know that doesn't happen, it kind of throws off our rhythm a little bit. So this is where we're going to come a little bit later and talking about the fundamentals in our big three.
Yeah.
What do you want to jump into next?
Well, I think that we could spend a lot of time correlating, hanging out with your hero, right? And cultivating who those might be in correlation with energy, work, and love, and what that, how that connects. So
Yeah.
I think we could probably spend the rest of the podcast talking about that.
Yeah, and what we're in this podcast, we're going to just share a couple of the tools and ideas that are in the workshop. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but one of the things that Jessica is talking about is knowing our heroes and our energy cups. We talk about our big three: energy, work, and love. And this comes from like Sigmund Freud, where he talks about really what is an ultimate life, what's a good life, is that we have work, those things that we do that fulfill us, and also love, that we have meaningful love, that we love what we do, we love life. And where this comes in with Arte bringing into the workshop, it's hard to be at your work best and your love best if your energy cup is not full. And this is one of the things that we coach in a workshop, going around this in our energy cups, is the thought process is if your energy cup is not full, it's going to impact your work and your love cup. So really, if we can get our energy cup full, and what we want to really think about this in this idea is that we have this cup of energy and it's overflowing because of the things that we're doing. This is what we'll talk about, our fundamentals, the fundies here in a moment. But that energy cup is overflowing, and it overflows into our work cup, and it overflows into our love cup. And by that stuff that's overflowing out of our energy, work, and love cups, that's what we share with other individuals in our life. If those cups aren't overflowing, it's going to be hard for us to really show up as our best. And that's when we start, if that cup is drained and is getting emptier and emptier and emptier, we're not going to have, possibly when we get home, if our love cup is not full, when we get home and see those ones that we love, it's going to be maybe a little bit more challenging. We might not show up as our best when we walk into that door to see our family. And we might get irritated a little bit more because it's not necessarily that love, but it all stems from the energy cup. Why? Because our energy has been depleted.
And there's those times, if you ever have thought like, wow, gosh, why don't I have any energy, or why am I not showing up in work and love, or I'm tired, or brain fog. And a lot of it is, if you think about your energy. So how many of you can think of a time where you didn't show up at your best in work and love? And if you reflect back, just give yourself a moment, but reflect back and think of a scenario where you didn't show up your best, and think about, like, okay, was it my energy? Did I just not have the energy to do so? And then after that, think about a time that, oh my gosh, I showed up, I embodied my heroes that I want to be like, right? The people that inspire me, and I'm embodying the best version of me, and you showed up amazingly. And think about how where your energy cup was. Was it not very full, or was it overflowing? And how did you show up in your work and your love? And think of those examples, because that's very helpful to actually have an example or a visualization of some sort to be able to remind yourself of when it didn't work, when I didn't show up as my best, and when I did show up at my best. And then that can inspire you to continue to work on your energy. And all of our podcasts really talk about, how do you sustain good energy? You know, your life is like a battery, like a cell phone battery, where it can be depleted, but we just don't have a plug-in that we can go to and just plug it in and charge it up, right? We got to do the work. And so everything we talk about in our podcast is helping you to create the energy that you need to show up to be able to fulfill your best, fullest potential.
Yeah, to be at your most highest energy best.
Yeah.
Right? And so that will be coming to the fundamentals, which we've done podcasts in the past about the fundamentals. We're going to touch base on this, but I think, what do you want to talk about, the heroes first?
Yeah, let's talk about the heroes. And like Darren said, you know, there's a lot of components into this workshop. There's 3 hours of it. We're just going to give you a little tickler of a tickler
Be careful.
of what this is about. But we want to talk about, we'll talk about lots of goals and tools and what's important to you, and do a meditation and all those fun things that we've done before. But why is it important for us to think about our heroes?
The heroes, who do we look up to, right?
Yeah.
Those are the people that kind of drive us, that are doing certain things that we maybe want to emulate, that we want to be able to copy some of those things.
Yeah.
People that motivate us to move us in a different direction. Those are the things that will guide us, right? Because they are doing it. They
That's right.
are being examples. And again, when we come back to this, there's no perfect hero, right? I'm sure there's some heroes
no.
and then with some people Jess and I are going to talk today, we're going to share 3 of our heroes. And there might be some faults with some of them, maybe.
Yeah.
Some of you guys might have
We're not
different
perfect.
opinions on that. But that's okay. There's
And
nothing wrong with that.
When you think of a hero too, it's somebody that you're admiring, somebody
Qualities,
that
yeah.
embodies the qualities you admire.
Virtues.
And they show up in a way that deeply inspires you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have 3 right away. There might be somebody, right? There might be somebody. I was very challenged to come up with 3, and I'm pretty solid on a couple of them. But I think too, to know that it can be a real person, it can be a person in your life, somebody who's deceased, a fictional person, an ancient person, or a very modern person. It doesn't need to fit into like, oh, it has to be a human that lived one time in life. It can be, one of mine is actually a fictional character.
Oh.
So
Do you want to share yours? Do we want to go energy, and then work, and love? Or do you want to share your 3, then I share my 3?
well, and I'm gonna. You may have divided yours up into like energy, work, love, hero, which is awesome. I'm gonna share mine in a different way, but we're gonna relate it to energy, work, and love. So,
Yeah.
But I'll just I'll say my first one, and my first one, if I needed to put it into a category, it would be for energy, work, and love. Is a lot of it's love, but it is to build energy. So, Louise Hay, as I've talked about before, she is one of my heroes. She's no longer living, but she, in her 50s, became very popular with affirmations and healing and helping others develop and grow. And some of her phrases that she always used was "Peace be with you," which I think most of my emails are signed off by "Peace be with you," and "All is well in my world." And the intention behind that is that I'm sending out love to others, but also all is well in my world, regardless of if it's chaotic and crazy, but I get to choose how I'm going to be present in the world and how I'm going to see it. And all is well in my world, no matter what is going on. And Louise Hay, and maybe we'll do a podcast on this someday, but she was somebody that came into my life when I was really struggling and just looking for some type of guidance. I could think of her as like a coach, a mentor, somebody who is modeling the way, even through books, right? Knowledge. And she was a loving human being who you can find tons of free recordings regarding Louise Hay. And she just really had a beautiful spirit to help people heal and help people accept all people, walking, living, every type of person. Like, she was very accepting, because when we can't accept others, we're not accepting ourselves. So she really, for me, truly embodied loving thyself and loving others. And how do you do that simultaneously? And she created and provided a lot of healing for me.
How did she come into
in a
your life?
time.
Did someone introduce her to you, or did you come across her?
That's such a good question. I wish I really knew exactly. I think I came across her book, and You Can Heal Your Life.
Uh-huh.
You Can Heal Your Life. And there's versions of her book that are very colorful and beautiful, and have beautiful affirmations after each. And she has chapters on energy and work and love, and then a lot of different things like that. But a book, I don't know how her book crossed my path.
You Can Heal Your Life? Is that what you just said?
You Can Heal Your Life.
And that's the time what you were looking for, right?
I was looking for some healing. I was falling off the edge of the earth, and I was making super bad decisions. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And why am I making these decisions and choices? And that's the other part of it too, is once I realized why maybe I was making those decisions and choices and sabotaging my joy and happiness, I was able to heal.
Yeah.
And I think that life is a whole life of healing and growing. And so she's still a huge component in my life. I have multiple books by her now. I have had some really good personal experiences with some of her teachings and things like that. So that's my main person that I always come back to. That was like no brainer. First thing somebody asked me that, and that's who my hero is. So
what I like about that is, again, this is where we get with planting the seed, right? That is life happening to you, or is life happening for you? And you're going through this time in your life that there's a little bit of struggles going on, and somehow this book called out to you, or all of a sudden was in front of you, and that's what you're looking for, right?
Yep.
This area that you needed, that you were looking to heal, and here comes this book, and then this is where Louise Hay was introduced to. Louise Hay was introduced to you, right? And so, again, it's pretty awesome. Maybe it was there before, and it just the seed was planted, and maybe you weren't ready at that time, and that's where I think a lot of us sometimes are, is that as long as that seed has been planted and is cultivating, right? It's just there. It's there, and it's cultivating until all of a sudden it sprouts, and then it shows up for you.
yeah.
Go ahead and, because I'll talk about my 3, which I'm utilizing in a different way.
Yeah.
With my energy and work love area. So do you want to go into the second one, or do you want me to go?
I'll go in the second one because I'll just talk about 2, and then I'd love to hear yours. One thing I do want to share, though, is part of one of the things I was reading about the other day was imagine that your hero is watching you live today, and how would you act? And part of things that we've talked about before is, what are you doing when no one's watching?
Yeah.
You know, and so even like there's the audience effect, right? So if I imagine, and I have done this before, if I imagine that somebody's watching me, like even if I'm in the gym, if I'm like, oh, like, you know, I pretend like somebody bigwig or something's watching me, and or some athlete. Yeah, I know it sounds weird, but if I'm just imagining that, you know, somebody else is watching me and like they're critiquing me or doing something, I show up. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this, you know? And so I love the thought of thinking that, hey, my hero is going to spend the day with me and going to watch me all day long, and it's going to give me a report out. How did I live? Yeah. How did I act? And what would they say about it? And I think that's a really good reminder. Like when we talk about flipping the switch all the time, but that's a really good tool when you're flipping the switch is Louise Hay standing right by my side. Would I say that? Would I act like that? Would I do that? And if you say no, that's a really good reflection of self, and a good flip the switch opportunity is, okay, so what am I going to choose? How am I going to choose to respond? Yeah. So I love that part. So my second one is Yoda. So, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious why I would pick Yoda as a guide, as a wise human that people come to for guidance, right? That they're not all knowing, but they are very wise beyond their years.
Is that why you call me Yoda?
No, you must have misinterpreted it for something else. But that's something that inspires me. I totally love I grew up watching Star Wars and Jedi, you know, all that stuff was really awesome to me. Like it was really exciting. And we used to have figurines and little, you know, spaceships and stuff. And what I love is the Jedi piece of it, of being able to be present, right? I just felt like he was able to really connect with others and kind of like read into their mind, see the future, but be able to be intuitive. And I love that part of it. I love the trusting, right? The confidence, true trust in the self, to be able to really lean into your intuition and trust it. So that's something that I've always liked with Yoda. Plus, I think it's fun to try to sound like him. Not good at it, but I just think he's an inspiring fictional character, but I think there's so many fictional characters that are pretty inspiring that really embody a lot of people's wisdom, spirit, and virtues. So,
yeah.
How about you?
For me, so what I'm going to lean into a little bit different is when we talk about the big 3, energy, work, and love. And when we go through this process, and what we teach in the workshop is there's an identity, then there's a targeted behavior, and then there's the virtue, right? There's those approaches that we're taking on this. And that's with the targeted behavior. And then there's action. And so going through this to where what I wanted to do in my energy, work, and love is bring certain identities to that I see that are leaders in the industry doing some of these things, and then bring in that that type of behavior, those targeted or those virtues into this. So when it comes to my energy identity, I like to bring in Richard Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
And so Richard Simmons, obviously the exercise guru, and just a little bit, his background. He wasn't thrown into the industry. His parents were actually in the entertainment business, and that's where he kind of flowed until he started moving in some other directions and start getting in, had some of his things that he ran into, and then got into really in exercising, and then just that energy that he brought, right? That's what everybody knows about Richard Simmons. If I'd say Richard Simmons, everybody knows this guy's high energy. He has these, his little dolphin shorts or his outfits that he would wear,
His headband,
his curly hair, right? But energy, right? People would say he's full of energy.
Yeah.
And so that's where, for me, for my energy best, that's how I want to show up. I want to show up with this high energy and just energetic and just having fun, having the right perspective on things, and being full of life. When I come into work, my work identity that I work on bringing in is what I call the Black Mamba mentality with Kobe Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where just knowing his background and being at such a young age, having that drive to be the greatest player of all time, to be the GOAT. And there's no comparison when you go, I don't want to get into that whole scenario, Michael Jordan, LeBron, all these guys, right? Because it's all different eras. It's
He's your hero. Yeah.
And what Kobe does, what he really lays out, what I admire about him is that those individuals that came before him, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, all the individuals that he idolized, he gives credit to what made him today. He was able to take those tools, learn from those individuals, and grow because they were doing it. So he wanted to learn how to do it. So he went to those individuals that were doing it. And so that's what I kind of really admire about him, and just the work ethic. He knew that if he put in 2 extra hours every single day of practicing, that he'd be that much further ahead than anybody else in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And again, coming out of high school, being one of the early players to really change the game of professional teams going after high school athletes, and just changing that, and what he did with the shoe companies, and indeed all this different stuff. There's so much stuff in there that he did for this organization and did for younger players. And so that's the part I like about that identity that I really work on bringing into that identity of work.
Mm-hmm.
And this again into the work category. And then the love cup is Mr. Fred Rogers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he's just someone that showed up for kids, showed up for individuals that there was no voice for at that time, that he knew that to help those individuals, to be able to speak to them and be an advocate for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big piece of love. And what really sits with me, and when we watch the documentary of Fred Rogers, not the one with Tom Hanks, but when he's in there with the gorilla Coco, and Coco looks into his eyes at Fred Rogers, in sign language, the word love. And that impacted me so much, because I just really feel like obviously animals can see deep into our souls. And then when that gorilla sign language is love, that's Fred Rogers, man. That's who he is. He's full of love. And it makes me almost teary-eyed right now just thinking about it. And then that he led with love and kindness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really something that in my past, I think I struggled with, was leading with kindness in that area and showing up with love.
Yeah.
It was a different type of thing. Not that I didn't have that, but that's not something that I
You just
was
it
leading
wasn't
with.
it wasn't you weren't showing it. It wasn't apparent.
Yeah. It was, yeah. So, but now that's where I'm at now.
Yeah.
That's what I like to lead with. And so
Yeah.
that's where I come in with my 3 heroes,
Love it.
is utilizing them in my energy, work, and love, and those identities.
Yeah, I like that. And there's so many wonderful ways that you can, embody that hero connection and utilize how you want to use your hero as somebody that helps you live to your full potential.
Yeah.
Think about their virtues, right? Think about their identity. Think about the ways, and I love how Darren connected the energy, work, and love to his 3 heroes. If you want to focus on one hero, that's amazing. And a couple of the prompts that I was noting down last night was, when you're thinking about like energy and you want to pick a hero, ask yourself, do I have the strength to show up well today? And who would I be inspired by to be someone that would lead me the way in their identity and virtues to do so? So do you have the strength to show up well today? What hero would actually embody that for you? And with work is, am I doing what I'm here to do at my highest level, right? You talked about Kobe Bryant, right? It's like, you talked about, I mean, many of basketball players and athletes throughout many podcasts that their goal was to, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And am I showing up at my highest level? And most of them were. They became who they are, and where they went is because they showed up their highest level. And that's what I hear you want to do, and you want to embody in the work that you're doing and what you're growing, and with your well-being program and wellness corporate program here in Spokane locally. As long as you continue doing that's going to happen. And then in love is, am I being the partner, friend, or leader that I'm capable of being? And you embody Fred Rogers. And I think those are great questions to ask ourselves when we're at the end of the day and you're wondering, how did I show up today? In your energy, work, and love. Just some really great kind of prompts that you can use for journaling or ask yourself. And be able to answer them. Did I show up? And it's okay if you say no, I may not have. So what worked, what didn't work?
Yeah.
And how are you going to show up tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the thing. I mean, even with Kobe Bryant, looking at other athletes or anybody in their professions that they're doing is showing up at their best. There's definitely talent. But talent's only going to take you so far. And this is where Kobe Bryant put the work in, did everything that every other professional did. And that's how do you separate yourself, right? When you are a young person developing and going through sports, when you see a kid on a soccer field that, like with my nephews right now, all these different age groups, and there's a kid out there that's, oh man, look at that kid's that athletic ability, right? That's one kid in this very big, let's say, would it be a small pool or big pool? Of
a pool.
A pool, right? I'd say it'd be a larger pool because the talent is not quite there because everybody's playing.
Yeah.
And then you go to junior high and the kids are, now you're in a school setting that there's cool kids that come to this school. So now there's maybe a few more kids that are there that are pretty good athletes. And then you go to high school. Now you have a few more kids that are there that are athletes. So now the competition's even more. Mm-hmm. And then you go to college. And then you go to college and you're playing sports. And now the competition is, there's a lot of individuals that are there that are showing up and that are good athletes that got recruited, that are there on scholarships and playing maybe the same position. So that's where you've got to show up. This is where do you put the work in to be so good that you can't be ignored. Right. What are you doing that is setting yourself apart from the other individual? And that's where Sean Casey talks about this. I can't remember exactly how he says it, but he wanted his dad to go talk to his coach about, because he wasn't getting a lot of playing time. And his dad's like, I'm not going to talk to your coach because obviously you're not doing anything that is showing him that you're better than the other person. Me talking to him is not going to do it. You've got to show him that you're better than that other player for you to get your spot on that team. Mm-hmm. And so what I will do for you is I'll give you some more coins to go to the batting cages and you get to work on hitting that ball. And so that's what Sean Casey did. And then going through this process where he wasn't recruited. He was one of the top, I think, hitters in his league in high school or whatever. And he's trying to get recruited and he didn't get recruited, but he kept putting out films. And then finally he got signed on. And then again became this great hitting person. Yeah, this player that I think he's in the Hall of Fame. I don't recall or not right now. But again, it's doing the work. What are you doing to separate yourself? Because as you move up in ranks as college and especially in professionals, now everybody's a good player. Yeah, right. Yeah. That gap is so small now. What are you doing to separate yourself? And that's where that work ethic comes in. That's right. This is where your fundamentals come in. Your energy. You can't show up at your work best if your energy is not there. Yeah. And this is where Tom Brady's talked about the fundamentals and getting sleep and how many hours and the nutrition and all these different things. So these are all parts of the process to get you to the outcome that you want. That's right. But you get to do the job. Get G-E-T. You don't have to. You get to. That's gratitude right. Every single time. So let's talk about your capabilities. What is your potential? If you want to find that out, reach out to us. We've got a beautiful heroic workshop we'd like to share with you. And let's work on getting your energy cup full. Yeah. Yeah, let's take it to another level with good vibes. Next. Oh, we just messed that up. Let's take it. That's Dang okay. You. We can keep that in there. No, let's take it to the next level with
good vibes only.
There you go. Peace. We're human.